lessons and then a bit of stuff nobody or some people don't really post on LinkedIn. And we've seen that it's a growing community and people show up after and after every edition. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for. You could have been anywhere this Saturday morning, but then you choose to be here. Okay, so a bit of housekeeping rules before we get started with the main workshop. I'd urge you all to mute your microphones when you're not speaking. And then if you would know, we're now on YouTube. So it would be very, very nice if you could turn on your camera. But then that's if you're comfortable. You can turn on your camera so it looks more like a lively workshop or session. You can drop your questions in the chat. That's when the facilitator is going through his session. You can drop your questions in the chat. And also, the session is being recorded. And then also, whilst the session is going on, you could raise your hand if you have any questions. Okay, without any much time spent, I would introduce Edem, who is our facilitator for this workshop. And another gentle reminder to mute your microphones as he comes on board to take us through. So, Edem will be taking us through the topic from chaos to clarity, a practical framework for solving design problems. Thank you so much. And Edem, you have the floor.
Give me a second. Sorry. Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, Edem, we can.
Right. Hi, so I'm Edem, product designer and UX researcher. I've been working at this for roughly, I think, a decade. I work across multiple industries from healthcare, e-commerce, financial services, and a few others. And okay, and I'm really glad to be here with you guys today. I actually didn't know there was a workshop edition of Stop and Chat, and it's really nice to see that it's still going on. And I'm also glad that I'll be sharing with you a few things I've learned as far as design is concerned. So yeah, happy to be here. And I think before we go on, let me just try sharing my sorry, I haven't used Team in ages, so apologies for my clumsiness. So let me just share my screen and walk you through what I have for you today. But before I proceed, I have a question. Has anyone been asked to maybe solve a design problem on the fly? And I'm sure you guys can reply in the chats. Has anyone been asked to solve a design problem from the fly, and right on the onset, you don't know where to start, and you start jumping on the internet and maybe start looking at similar apps that have been designed without necessarily understanding what problem you've been asked to solve? Has that happened to any of you before? It has happened to me in the past. I'm just wondering if maybe it's just me, it's happened to some of you as well. All right, somebody said story of my life, so it seems I'm not the only one. All right. So that's basically what I'm going to do with you today. I'm basically going to walk you through how to approach design problems that you might encounter, and basically a step-by-step process of trying to solve them, and also helping you understand what really matters as far as design is concerned. A lot of us jump to screens straight away, but screens are not the main point of solving design problems, right? And introduce a lot of chaos when you're trying to wrap your head around the problem itself. So that's what I'm going to help you with today. I'm trying to share my screen. I'm having a few, um, I don't know what it is. I'm having a few technical issues when sharing my screen, sorry. Give me a second. Give me a quick second. Sorry, I think then I'll have to do a window then. So, um, yeah, sure. Kindly let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can. We can now.
Yeah, we can.
All right. Sorry about the delay. So that's essentially the crux of this workshop, right? A lot of the times we are given problems, and the minute we get them, we jump to screens and we try to make sense of it, try to produce something. And most of the time we get ourselves locked up in a cycle where we are chasing our tails. We go to Figma, we start creating screens, and it becomes more about designing a screen you can present rather than understanding the problem and then basically actually solving the problem. And what happens is that when you are in a business setting, you are in a room with stakeholders who are more business oriented, who are looking at outcomes, right? So are looking at constraints, so are looking at what an actual solution, right? And they're looking to you, the designer, to solve, to give them the solution. Or you're in a room with software engineers who are the ones who are going to build your solution. They're trying to understand what exactly the problem is that you're trying to solve and how they can materialize that into an actual app. You start confusing them. Now they start asking questions about the placement of your navigation. They start asking you, okay, so why did you take this design approach? And usually because you've been focused on creating screens for them, and I'm not accusing anybody here, something I used to do as well, you tend to now sort of struggle with answering some of the key questions they ask you. Why are we doing this? And how does this solve our problem? If maybe it's for revenue generation or it's for lead generation, they'll ask you, so why, how does this um, help with lead generation? And then you start answering questions about looks, right? And this happens a lot. I've seen this happen a lot. So what I'm going to walk you through is how do we deal with this, right? So typically, when we are given a design problem, like I mentioned earlier, we'll go to Figma. Sometimes we even go to AI. We'll jump to ChatGPT or Claude, and then type the problem out. And when the outcome, when the prompt comes, and then you get your response, it suddenly starts making sense. You cling to it immediately because, well, this is something that it sounds like it makes sense. And sometimes you might even present it, or you might even start setting up your requirements based on it, or even start building screens based on it, right? Or you start designing based on it. Or if worst case, you even have Cloud Code, you basically go there and you start you start building something. At least it's something that you can show, but doesn't really solve the problem, right? And this is basically what we do. Sometimes we'll go to Pinterest, we'll go to Dribbble to see similar visuals that have been designed, but these places don't really address the specific use cases that our problems have been given, right? So what are we supposed to do, right? Instead of rushing to screens, we are supposed to basically understand what the problem is, understand what we are designing, who we are designing for, and why. Understand the business implications of what you are designing. I mention business implications because usually when we are given problems, it's within a business setting, it's within a company setting, and there are certain business constraints or business goals that need to be addressed with your design, right? And usually don't spend a lot of time understanding them, right? We, instead of trying to invent a perfect solution, a perfect idea to solve a problem, we tend to go into yeah, that's basically what we're trying to do. But then what we are supposed to do is to define what the right problem is, right? Because once you end up solving the wrong problem, you've basically missed the mark entirely. And all the work that all the time we spent working on our solution is basically foolhardy. We've not really done anything, right? And I've seen this happen a few times where sometimes a team will spend a lot of time designing a solution and then realize that we actually solved the wrong problem. The solution works. It is a solution, but then it doesn't address the core problem that was put forward by stakeholders. Sorry, I haven't had breakfast, so my words are messed up. Instead of basically trying to engage with stakeholders to understand what is important to them, right? What are the business expectations? What are the business implications of what you are being asked to do, right? And basically help with creating a solution that actually works, right? We would end up having to design without questions, without any assumptions, without any constraints, without assumptions, because sometimes our questions that are given to us are ambiguous. There hasn't been any research done on them. And it's up to you to make certain assumptions, right? Or maybe your solution might are guarded by certain constraints. It might be cost, it might be time, it might be access to resources, it might be engineering resources. And there comes the fight with engineers that designers are most designers have actually experienced. And it's because of some of these things we don't try to understand, right? And the outcome is that does the screen look good enough when it's actually supposed to help you navigate the ambiguity that you've been given and ask the right questions, right? And how are we supposed to do this, right? So this framework is going to help you basically fill core buckets as far as problem solving is concerned, right? When you are given a design problem, this could be a design challenge. I tried running one with the mentorship group. Well, not a lot of people showed up, but then it was the same thing I was trying to explain, that for us as designers, there's a certain fundamental job that we have, asking the right questions, right? And then providing solutions that work. And a lot of the time, what I've seen is we spend a lot of time like focusing on how it looks, what looks good and taste and whatnot. And we don't necessarily dive deep enough into actual problem solving. And part of that is understanding the problem, understanding the users, right? We say it, but we don't actually do it. So this framework helps you basically drill deep into the problem, chew to the bone, understand the problem itself. Who are the users? Like, what are their pain points? Like we usually see, what is the context of the problem? Where does this problem happen? When does it happen? What are the business needs? Which is really important because the business is the one that came to you with this problem, right? What are the constraints? Are they technical constraints? Are they business constraints? Are they time constraints, right? Understand these things. And one approach that I tend to use, or I've used in this from a book I read, using the assumption hack, right? That as long as they are, even when they are, there's enough information provided, not all the information is going to be given to you. So there are points where you have to assume, you have to make certain assumptions, and it requires constant engagement with stakeholders, right? Design isn't something that is done, you go and hide somewhere and do it in a room and come back and say, hey, I have a solution for you, right? It requires constant engagement to stakeholders. It requires you asking questions every step of the way. It requires you making assumptions and clarifying these assumptions to stakeholders, right? So when you make a certain assumption and ask a certain question, they will provide the required information. If it's a yes, they might say it. If it's no, they will let you know. And it helps you narrow down to what actually is important in that space of time. What problem are you trying to solve, right? And it also helps you manage certain constraints that probably the company might have that you might not necessarily be privy to. There are certain meetings that maybe Euclid might sit in that maybe Fifi might not sit in. So Euclid might be privy to certain constraints that Fifi isn't privy to. And if Fifi is maybe, or Felix is solving a problem, and there's a certain ambiguous situation and they ask Euclid a question, it might clarify that piece of information for them, even though they were not sitting in that meeting. It will give them a sense of, okay, I can change my bearing and go this direction because it looks like this design might not work in this scenario. So that's essentially what you need to do. So basically fill these buckets, understand the problem, understand the users, understand the pain points, What are the business needs or the business implications? What are the constraints? What is the context? When and where is this happening? Now, if you've basically gathered all this information and you've gotten all the what do you call it context you need, then you can start ideating like we do in the design thinking method. We basically start ideating, start looking at ideas that we have. Now, how do we narrow down to which ideas are actually useful? Which ideas can I sort of push, right? And this can be done in just a few minutes. It doesn't have to take long to do it. And you've not touched a screen yet. You've not moved a pixel yet. By now, you've drilled down to a few maybe possible solutions you might have, right? And at this point, there are no stupid questions. There are no stupid ideas, right? So if you've generated a few concepts, now how do you prioritize them? You use something that you call the impact effort matrix, right? I'm sure some of you are familiar with this. So you look at any particular solution, it's going to make an impact to the user, to the business, and it's going to take some effort to execute, right? How do you ensure that it's at the right, is the right idea? So how do you ensure that it has the most impact, but it will take the least effort? Because that becomes your basically your MVP. That becomes like the sweet spot, the idea you need to push or the solution you need to try materializing, right? And this basically helps you do that. So if you see from like the illustration here, there are 4 divisions within the matrix, right? There's the idea A, idea B, idea C, right? And then of course there's the last one. So the idea A, as you see, it has the highest impact, it has the lowest effort. So that's what you need to build. That's what you can build today. Idea 2 is maybe on a lower priority because it's a good idea, it has a high impact, it's going to benefit the user and the business, but then it's going to take a lot of effort to build, right? It might be that it's too complex for us to build, or it might be that it might take too much time, or we don't have the resources to build it yet. Idea C, low impact, low effort. It's not going to take a lot of effort to build, but it's not going to make an impact. So it's not something I need to consider. The last section, which is there's no idea D there, but then the last section here, it basically tells you that this idea is a no-no. It's not going to make, it's basically going to be a waste of time. It's going to cost money. It's not going to achieve anything. So if you have, let's say, a list of 4 different ideas that you've ideated quickly, and you've prioritized them based on this, you know what exactly to push, right? Now, so you've gotten to this point. Now, even if you've not finished your entire solution, maybe you've gotten to this point and you don't have screens yet. This is still something you can walk into any I would say management meeting if you've been given a task and show them, okay, so based on your expertise, based on the work you've done, this and based on the information you've been given, this is the right direction to go to. Like this is the right direction that the design team can take, right? What does it do? You've not showed them any screens yet, which is, well, in case they are asking for deliverables, not show them those deliverables yet. But what you are doing is that the time is going to take to actually navigate what's this the right thing to be done? Has this been done well? And maybe this solution, we tried it and it didn't work. You've basically gone through all that already, right? And you're giving them a direction, which in most cases, in most businesses, I'm sure maybe you can or some of you might attest to this, it's more important than any deliverable you give let's say a management person or a team, right? Direction is really important, right? And this helps you to achieve that direction without having touched anything yet. Now, you've done all this. Now it's time to show something visual, right? It's time to actually design a solution. There are 2 ways you can do this. Actually 3 now that I think of it. But then one, you can use wireframes. This is very quick. Pre-prototyping, speed sketching, just sketch an information, what do you call it? Your prototype. And basically based on all you've done, you've taken into account the problem, you've taken into account the context, you've taken into account what the user's needs are, business constraints. You've done all that. You've prioritized that this is the idea that we need to build, or this is the idea that we need to design. And now you've designed it, right? Starting point, you are doing wireframes. You can also do a storyboard. There are certain solutions that don't always require screens, right? This storyboard I have here is an Uber ride request storyboard. Even though it's happening on the app, what I'm doing is what this illustration does, or what the storyboard does, is that it's basically like a comic. It shows you the series of events that the user goes through. The request for a ride. I don't know if you guys can see my screen. The request for a ride. They wait while they find the car. They check the ETA for the arrival. They leave the app, maybe the driver notifies them, and then they look for the car. They say to the driver, says, "Oh, identify. I'm Kwesi. What do you call it? Edem. Yeah." And then they commute. You get out of the car, you leave. This has basically walked you through the entire Uber riding process without you having designed a specific screen, right? The stakeholders don't know what the nav bar looks like or the buttons that are being used and all that fancy stuff. No animation here. But what you've given is a complete solution that can now be worked on. It's direction, right? And this is what designers are meant to do. Or I'm not saying that what we are doing now is a design, but what is exactly what's when you walk into a business room or you walk into a stakeholder room, this is exactly what they expect. Direction, a solution, right? Without the fancy screens. Of course, the fancy screens are important, but then this provides direction. So now building on this is going to be very, very, very easy because you have all your requirements, right? Now, let's say you've designed your wireframes, you've designed your storyboard, and maybe in some time later you've designed like an actual mock-up and there's interaction, right? How do you measure success? Because that's also very important. The design solution is not enough, but the measurement of success is also really important. So there are ways you can do that, right? You can look at adoption rates and revenue generated click-through rate. This is something that a lot of you are familiar with, right? What I want us to do now is I would want us to go through this exact process pattern with a prompt. I'll share a question and I would like your participation. What I'll do is that I'll share a question. It will be a prompt. I'll put it on FigJam, and then I'm not going to provide the information. I'll ask you a question. I'll give you, let's say, 2 minutes to think about it, and then I'll have you guys do a rapid fire. You don't have to think too much, but then if I ask you a question about, okay, who are the users? What is their context? And what are the assumptions that we can make? You guys can make them, right? And I'll really entreat you guys to actually get involved and make them because I would want you to go out, from here, even if you're unable to finish the entire exercise, I would want you to leave this place with the ability to actually try this out yourselves, right? So I would also elect, I don't know if Euclid, you can respond. I would like to elect you as our stakeholder. So any questions that um, people might have about the task or maybe the requirements, or if there are any assumptions or any constraints, they are going to ask you, or we are going to ask you. I know I'm putting you on the spot here, I'm sorry, but we're going to ask you. So
Okay.
if I have a question about users, the kind of technology that we'll be using, if there's a payment solution or whatever technology stack we are using, we are going to ask you. You are basically going to be the one we're going to ask, right? I am the typist. I'm going to be typing out. I'm going to help you guys out. I'm going to be typing what your responses are. I'm going to fill your canvas. Let me quickly stop sharing this slide and then but before that, this is basically our problem. So the government of Ghana wants to introduce a cashless railway system in which passengers can purchase multiple trip passes for mobile money, scan it at the station to board the train, right? The goal is to create a seamless passenger experience while reducing queues, preventing revenue loss. Your task is to design the passenger experience, right, from end to end. This is what you are supposed to do. I'm going to copy this and paste it into our FigJam. Let me stop sharing here and share the other screen. Can you let me know if you can see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Right. So I'm going to paste the task here. Actually, let me make it big. You know what? This is fine. right? So this is our task, right? And this is the canvas we are going to be using. So don't let the multiple sticky notes scare you. We are going to be filling each of these ones, right? And what we are going to do with this is we'll first state the problem, right? And I would want you guys to come up with, give me suggestions. What will be the problem statement? I'll give you guys 2 minutes to think about a problem statement, and then you guys will let me know. And let us follow this format. What are we designing? Who are we designing for, and why? What are we designing? Who are we designing it for, and why? That's going to be our problem statement, and that's what I'm putting here, right? So you guys have 2 minutes, right? And then once we are done with that, also provide goals. What are the goals? What are the goals for this particular task? What are we trying to do? We've stated the problem statement. Now give me a few goals. 3 is fine. We don't want to have you guys share too many. So I'm going to start a timer for 2 minutes. And after the 2 minutes, I will start asking questions. If maybe some of you have already thought about it, you can just start sending it via text or something. So you can just put it in the chat and then we'll see it. All right, so the 2 minutes starts now. If you're a pen and paper, you can write it down so that maybe you don't forget certain things. All right, our 2 minutes are up. And okay. Um, sorry, somebody pasted something. I don't know what it is. I'm seeing dates here. All right, so what is our problem statement, right? What problem are you trying to solve? How does this benefit the customer? Why is this product or feature important? So what are we trying to design? What are we designing it for, and why? Somebody posted a poll here.
Yeah, I think the
Sorry.
poll came earlier. I think the poll should come later. Just like maybe just you can disable the poll for now. You'll bring it up later.
All right. So does anybody have a sample problem statement we can use? Right. So let it be in this format. What are we designing for? Who are we designing it for, and why?
So we should type that.
Yeah, so you guys can give me suggestions. Type your suggestions, and then we'll put it in the post-it. And please, if you need to ask Euclid any question regarding the problem, because we've read the problem already, if you need to give Euclid, you need to ask. Euclid is a stakeholder, so if you want to ask him any questions, ask him why we're using mobile money and what not. Maybe you can one of you can raise your hand and maybe ask Euclid a question regarding this problem. Is there a reason why you're using mobile money? Or maybe why we're not looking at cash, right? Euclid is allowed to answer these questions any way he pleases because he's a stakeholder here.
We have a response. We have one response in the chat.
No, but this is not. So what I'm saying, I should follow this format. What are we designing? Who are we designing this for, and why? I'm sure you guys have all written, like you have an idea of what a problem is. So yeah, just give us examples. What a problem statement you can write.
Okay, I've written my own, but I'm not supposed to. So ignore mine.
Yeah. So, Samuel, Felix, Rashford, Asamoah, Priscilla. Any suggestions? There are no wrong answers here. And Gifty, I didn't notice you were here. There are no wrong answers here. So let's hear them. What would be a problem statement that would befit this particular problem? And there are no wrong answers here. So please. And it doesn't have to be long. You can keep it short, right? Guys, okay. Alex, we are building a cashless railway ticketing system for passengers. So there is the pass, money, and can scan. Okay, that's one. Any others? That's actually a good one. Okay, let me help you out with these one. This one instead. Let's just type. Let me just do this. I'll use Euclid's format. By redesign a seamless passenger experience for harness railway system. Sorry, I forgot I was on the call. I started talking to myself. Railway system to prevent to reduce queues and prevent revenue loss. So this is close enough, right? Yeah, build a cashless. Okay, we are designing a cashless railway system where passengers can buy and use multiple passes. Okay. All right. So these are all good problem statements because they address what we are designing, who we are designing it for, and why, right? So now we've designed we've basically, there are typos here, but we'll come back to them. We designed our problem statement. We've basically added our problem statement, right? Now, what are the goals for this particular? Why is this thing here? Right? What are the goals? Like, if you guys can really mention them, what goal do we have? Right? We've mentioned revenue loss. We've mentioned reducing queues. Can anyone think of any other goal that we have? Yeah, just put it in text quickly. Like, Priscilla.
To create a seamless boarding experience.
Okay. Right. Yeah, what else? Okay, let me just
Can we
add
say
revenue loss
reducing
here.
queues?
Yeah, reducing queues. Okay. And let's say prevent revenue loss, right? Because we've already mentioned that getting tickets faster. Okay. I can just put right? And let's say prevent revenue loss. Right? Who are our audience? Who are the users, right? Who are those who will be using our platform? Like very quickly, who are our users? Okay, Ghanaians, fair. They are Ghanaians, but let's go a bit deeper on our users. What type of users are we looking at? The general public, okay. Now let's
Commuters?
go deeper. Commuters, right? So when we are defining some of these things, let's try to go as deep as possible. Let's go and try to go a layer deeper, right? Ghanaian commuters, students, right?
So someone says students, office workers.
Yeah, office workers. Okay, students 9 to 5ers. Okay, I mean that's fine, right? What assumptions can we make as far as our audience are concerned? Working class workers, office workers, which is good. Let me put traders too. What assumptions can we make about our users? Like what any assumption we can make about our users, right?
I'd say that they may either be taking one trip or multiple trips.
Okay, take one or multiple trips. Okay, what other assumption can we make? This one we need only two, so just another one.
They are able to pay via Momo.
Okay, they have an active Momo account, or they are active Momo users. Let's use that one.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, so we discussed our audience. Now, what are their specific needs? What do they need? What are their most pressing needs? Right, as far as this particular problem is concerned.
Get to their destination as quickly as possible.
Somebody actually sent me, yeah, Priscilla.
I'd say convenience and them not having to carry around cash every time they're traveling.
All right, avoid traffic, easy transports. Okay, minimal waiting time at stations. Okay. All right. Avoid carrying cash. Thank you.
Edem, can
Thank
we
you,
add
Alfred.
easy payments? I think that's also
Yes. Easy payments. All right. Comfort, speed. Okay. Right. Let me put speed here. Because all right. Okay, that's fine. What assumption can we make about their needs? Right. This one is a bit tricky, but I just want to see how you guys What assumption can we make about their needs? And please, you guys haven't asked Euclid any questions so far. Right? Euclid is the representative of the Ghana Railway Station, and he's the one who's basically looking at this project. So please, if there's anything that you are not clear on, ask him. Right? So what assumption can we make? And if you can't think of any, just let me know. But what assumption can we make about their needs? Like the traffic part you mentioned. What assumption can we make about the traffic part? I'll help you with that one. You can say that maybe there's a lot of vehicular traffic on the roads, right? Right? So people would want to use this because there's a lot of vehicular traffic. That's just one assumption. Give me another one. Any assumption, guys?
That as a nation, we are losing a lot of money by spending a lot of time on traffic.
Okay.
Impact to the economy. We are losing $20 billion on time spent on traffic.
Hey,
I'm now speaking as a stakeholder.
I know, right? I don't know where it's traffic. Okay, yeah. Most are used to remote payments. Personalized assumption.
I guess.
Yes, like if it's yes assumption, that's why it's coming. So say it. Yeah, it's an assumption.
Yes.
Stand by what you're
Yes.
saying. It's an assumption. That's fine. That, like I said, there are no wrong answers here. So yeah, most passengers are used to Momo, so payments method itself won't feel simple. Let's move on. Context, right? When and where? Where are they physically? When does this occur? Is there any trigger that causes this need, or are there any triggers that cause this need? Right. So where are they physically? Where does this occur? Bus station. Oh, this is for the train. Who is this? I know there are no wrong answers, but yeah, Rashford, Ransford. Sorry, Mr. Rashford, Ransford. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, when and where are they? Um, okay, let's say they're at a train station. Let's because yeah, I mean the idea was right. It's just the execution that what I mean to. All right. And at what time, right? At what time? Because when and where context. So nobody say rush hour. Let me just put it there. 7 to 9 p.m. and let's say 5 to 7 p.m. Right? Close of business. Yeah, okay. Or after 5 p.m. Okay. I just wanted to put a boundary on it so that at least we are more like, so I agree it's 5 p.m., but like, let's say 5 to maybe 7-ish, right? So 5 to 8. Yeah. And then are there any triggers that cause this? Maybe, I guys think of any other thing? Context, when and where, PlayStation, when and where, context. Any other thing apart from the when and where? Is there any trigger that causes this event or this need? And, or you can think of, oh, I'm also going blank. Yeah, you can think of other residual things apart from the time, right? Urgency. Thank you, Ransford. That's a nice save, right? So urgency sounds more like, maybe just leave it there, but it sounds more like an assumption, but it's flirting with the line. Let me just leave it there, right? Okay. I mean, they are the train station. There's rush hour. Let's use those two. What assumption can we make about this? The context, right? Any assumptions we can make? Let's put the agency here instead.
The train is slow. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Euclid. Was it Euclid or who? And nobody has asked Euclid any question yet. This is the one point where I think you guys should be asking Euclid questions. This one and constraints. So please, if there's anything that you probably want to ask somebody who brought you this problem, what would you want to ask? What would you want to know about this problem, right? As far as the context is concerned. Okay, let me give you an example. Euclid,
Yes.
yeah, I have a question for you. So how severe are like the what do you call it, the queues during rush hour? I want to know the degree of how severe the queues are during rush hour. How bad does it get?
Okay. So the rush hour, it gets it gets very, very, very bad. Uh, I'm trying to get the number. I'm trying to give you a number.
Yes.
So we're assuming that for the peak hour that is between the 5 p.m. or let's say 7 to 9 a.m. There's about a peak of over 5,000 people who want to use the train. And then we have a double of that in the evening, because now some people use the train in the morning, but during the day, most people have come to use the other means of transport, but they want to go home using the train.
Interesting. All right. So we can assume that peak hours, can we say peak hours slows down the commute, basically it results in a slowing of the commuting from what do you call it, the train stations because of the high numbers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And there is another problem. There's another in terms of context. So, at the moment, the train station, we issue paper tickets. So it's more fairly manual, and payment is mainly on cash. And the issue with the payment with the tickets is the ticket can be passed from one person to another. So multiple riders can use the ticket, so causing loss of revenue as well.
Interesting. So you really need a more digital one. It doesn't have to be physical.
Yes,
right?
please.
Okay. Then I'll go back to my what do you call it, assumption section here and see does it mean that each ticket holder has to be uniquely identified if you don't want them to pass tickets along to other people?
So as a stakeholder, envisioning that uniqueness of the ticket, every customer or user of the train that comes to the station, like, should be able to ask to either scan or use their ticket that is unique to them.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. All right. Guys, do you have any other questions for Euclid?
Yes, there's a question in the chat.
Okay. What provisions are we making for people without smartphones but are able to buy tickets? How do they scan? Euclid.
So for the most part, we're assuming that the low users, the ones that don't have, we're expecting there's the high-end user or advanced tech users, and also the ones that will not have. For aspects of payment, if you don't have a smartphone, you can use your USSD to make payment. When you don't have the QR code, we can use an identity that you have that is unique to the tickets that you have, and use the USSD code for you to be able to check in, validate your ticket and check in to get into the train.
Okay. Yeah, Euclid is Euclid, thank you very much for your responses. Euclid is going to a certain territory. He's flirting with a certain line. I don't want him to go there yet. It sounds like he's starting to give you guys ideas now, which is fine because
Yes.
that's what stakeholders would do, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
which is is actually fine. But keep what he has said in mind. It's really, really important. I'm not going to write it down intentionally. I was going to, but I stopped myself. Keep that in mind. It's really, really important. Now, what do you call it? Ransford also has a question, right?
Yeah. I wanted to ask how the number of tickets are going to be handled. Is it going to be like a first come, first serve thing, or it's going to be like a limited pool of, let's say, every day we are giving out slots for 5,000 tickets?
Yeah.
I don't know if the question is clear enough.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, I'll be careful there so that I don't give out much. But you should be able to access buy purchase tickets anytime, anywhere.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to write that down. All right. So now constraints. Like, what are the physical constraints? I like the fact that Neil, you mentioned people without smartphones, right? Constraints. Are there physical constraints? Are we going to exempt people who don't have smartphones? It's a logical constraint because everybody uses a smartphone. So we can say that if you have a smartphone, maybe you are cooked. It's fine. Like, you can't save everyone. Is it something that we can put in the constraints that this requires a smartphone? Users are required to use a smartphone. And are there any other constraints you can think of? Euclid, at this point, you might have to step in. Are there any limitations to the system that you might have?
So I'm thinking about that. I was just going to speak to in terms of accessibility, the type of users. So we are considering that for people with disability, they should have a different pricing, and then they should have a different access way to get onto the train. In terms of the system, the constraints on the system, trying to think, constraint on the system. So basically, we need to cater for every user type because we know not everybody has a smartphone. We need to be able to find a solution to those who do not have a smartphone.
Okay. So this one, I'm giving you permission to place limitations on the system. I should have clarified that, right?
Limitation of the system.
Yeah, I'm giving you the mandate or the chance to. Are there any limitations you want to place on your system first?
Yeah, so as I said, one unique ticket for each unique passenger.
Okay.
You can only load up, we can only purchase a ticket or load up. Oh, so we could have season ticket or season, you can purchase the ticket for the week, for the month, or for a day. But there's a limit to how much you can purchase a ticket. So you can't come and purchase a ticket for, as an individual, purchase ticket for 100,000 Ghana cedis. So there's a limit to the amount of tickets you can purchase.
Okay, what's the price limit? What's the ticket limit or price amount limit?
Considering that the commute period, I think the amount should be 5,000 Ghana cedis. That's for the highest tier.
Right. That's fine. Are there any specific limitations that I put one here myself? I just vetoed and put one here. It's only available to smartphone users. Just one limitation, right? It's not perfect, but I just wanted to put it there. Just
Sure. I think Gifty had a question as I think for another one. Yes, Gifty.
Okay, so what happens if I purchase, let's say, a ticket for a week, and maybe during that week I wasn't able to use the train? Does the ticket expire? or I'll be able to use it for the following week?
Yeah, no, so the ticket is not time bound in that sense. It is by the number of trips. So your weekly ticket is you have 5 days of travel for the week in that sense.
So usually, just to clarify, there are no expiration dates for tickets. Is that what you're saying?
A ticket is valid, the expiration date is valid for 1 year.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Fifi. Hi, this stakeholder.
So, so just like anything that's in high demand, especially for stuff like tickets, there's the risk of resellers. People who come and hoard and then go and resell at high prices. Do you have any measures for countering something like that?
Because the availability of the ticket purchase should be, so the way that customers should purchase the ticket should be accessible to all. So we're not the tickets will not be sold through agents to avoid hoarding. It should be okay. It should be an online system where anybody can purchase the ticket at their own. If but when it's more efficient for them.
Euclid, I want to ask a question. One last question before the limitations. Can the tickets be bought only on your platform, or are there third-party sellers too?
So the future plan is to consider to use some of the telco platforms for resale of the tickets. So when you have like your Momo, you go to your Momo Pay, or you go to your Momo Pay. You go to your the other guys who do the payments. Now the names are running away. Express Pay, for instance. So we could have that ability to purchase there. But yeah, the tickets are mostly purchase. You can purchase the tickets online. And for those who are coming to the stations and you didn't have, then we allow for a transition period where we can allow for the users who are coming walk-ins, purchase for walk-ins.
Okay. But for now, exclusively online. Okay, cool. There are some parts that I haven't written down. I'm doing that intentionally because I know it's going to come in handy for you guys. So you guys should keep all of what you're saying in mind, right? So these are the list of constraints, some of the constraints that we have, right? They're not perfect, but these are some of the ones that we work with this now. I'm going to skip the assumptions about the constraints now, and because I don't want us to lose so much time. But in your mind, if you can think of any assumptions going forward, you can do that. Now you have your constraints, you have your, let me come back. So you have, just a recap, you know what the problem statement is, right? How might we design a seamless passenger experience for the Ghana railway system to reduce queues and prevent revenue loss, right? We want to create a seamless boarding experience. We want to reduce queues and get tickets faster. We want to prevent revenue loss. Who are the audience? The audience are Ghanaian commuters, right? They are students and office workers. Some of them are traders, right? And the assumption is that some of them will be taking multiple trips, one or multiple trips, right? And our users, all of them are, or like let's say most of them are active Momo users. Let's say all of them are active Momo users, right? What are their needs? They need to commute faster to avoid traffic, right? They need the convenience of rushing, of carrying cash, and they want to wait less, right? They want easy payments. They want minimal waiting times. What are the assumptions you're making about some of these needs? A lot of vehicular traffic results in revenue loss. So this is really important. The solution needs to be digital. Tickets should be unique to the user, right? And then most users are used to Momo payments. The Momo payments method is often they won't feel unfamiliar. Tickets can be accessed anywhere, anytime. When and where does this happen? This happens at the train station. This is during rush hours, and we've been told that rush hours, commuters basically it goes up ×3, right? Especially in the evenings, right? And of course, there's a sense of agency here as far as the assumption is concerned. And then the peak hours slows the users, right? And payments has been fairly manual, and that's what's causing a lot of this what do you call it, long waits. What are the limitations? It's only accessible to smartphone users. Tickets have a purchase limit. You can only purchase about below 5,000 cities. Tickets expire within a year, right? And disabled have a specific access points, and then the system is exclusively online, right? So now, based on all that you have, what I want you to do now is I'll give you like this one. I want you to actually, if you have a pen and paper, write them down, and I'll basically start filling them. I want ideas now, right? What could be built to fulfill this customer need? Just a short description. It can be, let's say, a short 2 sentences or just 1 sentence, right? But consider these things, consider the questions that have been answered by the stakeholder. You can choose to ask, you played a quick question. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. It's kind of unfair, but what are the list of solutions based on all that you know? I don't know if I should highlight this again so that you guys can go through it. Based on all that you know, what are the list of solutions that you have? I'll give you 2 minutes and you guys will just tell me and I'll list them. And this is, we are basically brainstorming ideation. So no idea is bad, just rapid fire, whatever comes to mind. I'm sure something has been coming to mind based on Euclid's responses. So I'm going to start the timer now and then come up with a few ideas and we'll list them and we'll categorize, we'll prioritize them. All right, so the time starts now.
Hi, Adam. So just to clarify, are we stating out the potential features, or are we describing the entire product in like one paragraph? Hi, is it my network or?
No, we hear you.
But can we hear Adam? Because I think on my side he's waking up.
I know I muted my mic. I'm sorry. I'm saying that you can just use 1 sentence, but keep it very short and just write an idea. You can just say maybe an online payment via more money app like Euclid said, which is kind of him giving you a solution you guys can look at, or maybe you can just describe a process where you maybe scan a QR code at the station based on you have a QR code on your phone. There's a terminal, you just scan it and then you go inside as one. That's one idea, right? Something very, very short, something that we can fit on a post-it note. But it has to be short enough and maybe high level enough that we understand the idea, right? But you don't have to go into the list of features, if you get me. Does that make sense?
Is,
Okay.
is the
Yeah.
stakeholder
Yeah.
allowed to share what can the stakeholder share what they have envisioned? No.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you can. You can. But
Okay.
yeah, just
So
try to
based on
hold.
yeah, just high level. Based on benchmark for how railway speed railways work elsewhere. One example as stakeholders that we benchmarked is that the users of the railway will have to purchase a card, and when they purchase the card, they're able to reload that card using their Momo, and that is what they will use as their access point in and out of the railway system. Another one is you have to sign up for on a digital system, whether it's an app, and then you get a QR. And once you get your QR, which is a unique identifier to you, you will be able to reload your account. And by reloading, you should be able to scan your QR on and off when you get to the point of entry. I think those are the two benchmarks. Thank you very much. And the idea can be better than that. Hi, Edem.
Yeah. I'm typing one of them. I want which I'll just pick one of them. The rest I want the other guys to come up with. Right. So yeah. Ideas like what solution can we think of? We've been provided one. I want another one. Anyone? Anyone? Or should I start naming people? Okay. Fifi, what idea do you have? What idea can you think off the top of your head? What idea do you have?
I mean, I was typing the card thing, but aside that, I would say, basically maybe a credit system. The users may have an identifier, it could be their mobile number or anything, and they purchase credits and assign to their numbers as identifiers. They can verify maybe just via simple OTP or something. Yeah, but basically each trip has a number of credits that will be deducted from your total credits, and you can replenish credits by just paying via Momo. I think. Yeah.
So how would you use this credit system when you get to the railway station? Let us come full circle.
Okay. So initially, I would have gone with the card, right? You can reload or top up on the card, but since that is taken, I think we can also use um hmm, maybe just your mobile number. No, that would be too long actually, because then we have to now verify the identity. Asking them to create an account too is too long. I think we might have to resort to the card system, honestly.
Okay. So I'm going back to the card.
Yeah,
Yes.
Let me help you
yeah.
out. Let's see. Let me help you out. Let me add something to your mobile access. Maybe so they can load the pass onto their mobile number, and for each trip they are given a code where they type into a terminal and then they get into the train. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, so I was mentioning the one-time code, but I feel like that may be a bit too long. But I think we can also have it in there as an idea. It's fine.
Okay, so they will, as in there. So when you take a pass, they will give you a code which you enter. Let's say before you enter the train, there's a terminal there.
The
You type your
terminal,
code.
yeah.
Yeah. Then you enter, but it's coming from your phone. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That works.
I Edem. There's some
Yep.
answers in the chat.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm coming. Okay. Let me just copy this one and put it there. Okay. Um, yes. They use code to get let me just keep it short like this is fine. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah. The part I've written does make sense, not what you said. So yeah, anyone else? Any other ideas? Gifty, you're certainly thinking of something. Let's hear it. Well, let me mention a full name, Gifty Mills. Hey, no, not Gifty Mills. Miss Ahin, sorry. Please. Hey, no, Mrs. Ahin. Hey, sorry, Mrs. Ahin, please. We are waiting for you. Give us one quick one. You did mention a few when it was explained. I just didn't write them down. I was hoping you guys would catch it. So yeah.
Still thinking.
Oh, Mrs. Sign, don't do this to us, please. Tell us if there's any idea you're thinking of. You just tell us what you're thinking of, and we'll add spices to it and flesh it out. Okay, anybody else? Since Miss Iron is still thinking, so Mrs. Iron is still thinking. So anybody else? Um,
So
okay, so someone. Okay, sorry.
yeah, I mean, I'll just put to sparse some thoughts. I think when you're looking at the entire system, we are making an assumption that there's enough budget to cover whatever system it is that you're using. So if you're buying the gates or the terminals, there's enough money from the government side that we have to purchase those handheld scanners and etc.
Thank you. I was hoping somebody would ask that question, but nobody did about the terminals. We have enough money to buy them when it was being suggested. But yeah, thanks for clarifying that. I really appreciate that. Nobody has said anything about QR code, because I thought that was the most obvious. Because you did mention it a few times. I thought that was the most obvious one. Felicity, hybrid mobile users, mobile buys, triggers from mobile money. Where's the QR code? Thank you, Felicity.
Okay.
Let me just copy and paste it here. Oh,
My ideas are still coming. Also assuming that all the Momo platforms work, right? So all our Momo providers, MTN, Telecash, Airtel, Tigo, work.
okay. So that's an assumption you want me to add, right?
Yeah, think of the system assumptions, yes. The system
Okay.
constraints.
Okay. So I'm trying to get a new
And I think finally that these Momo people will not charge the users. There's no Momo charge fee for this payment.
okay. Wow, my system is really lacking now. Sorry. I think I'm dumping memory, so my system is slowing now. Sorry. Yeah. I'll keep that in mind for the assumption. I think they will keep that in mind for the assumption. So let me just add this and then we'll continue.
And whatever
Any other
system,
ideas?
whatever system
Priscilla,
we are building. Okay.
sorry.
Yes.
Let me let you finish.
Yeah, the last one, I think whatever system we are building, we also consider that we'll have to perhaps do some training for the staff people who will be working on it. Okay.
Priscilla, I think
Priscilla?
tap to pay. Can you flesh it out a bit?
And do like a tap to pay for purchasing the tickets. So
Okay, so what are we tapping?
the smartphone or like a payment POS or something. I don't know. And then like it just deducts the amount for the ticket.
Okay. Tap to pay. Right.
For the people who are thinking of QR, can the QR be reshared for and cause issues of multiple use? If I get a hold of Edem, if I get a hold of Edem's QR, can I use it?
So hold on to that question. Will be a point where that question will be very, very
Sure.
what do you call it? Relevant to what we're doing next. Let's just move on to what we're doing next. Oh, Charlie, why is this thing being? Sorry, my okay. So we have these four, right? What you're about to do next, you're about to prioritize our ideas. I need your input on this. There's section A, B, C, and D. I essentially put this here to divide it into four, right? We're going to prioritize the ideas. Look at the ideas that have been mentioned, right? Purchasing through a card system, right? Assigning users a specific pass based on their phone number. A code is generated, and that's the code they use to get on board, right? A USSD pathway where tickets are purchased using a unique code, and they get on board. It's even possible to use it for YAM phones or feature phones. A hybrid USSD smartphone approach, where the QR code is used, and then they just when you point to the QR code to a terminal and they get it, they already need internet access to do that. And then tap to pay payment approach for purchasing tickets, right? These are the 4 ideas. So we have an impact effort matrix here. Like I mentioned before, the impact shows how much the impact is going to make. What do you call it? Effort shows how much effort is going to take. And with the effort part, there are a few constraints that probably you need to consider when doing that. So what are the constraints? Introduce further costs. It might be time, it might be resources. A constraint might be, and like Ransford mentioned, which I really appreciate, NFC chips might be a constraint because not all phones might have it. So tap to pay might not necessarily be. So it might end up leading to like a certain cost. It might eat into cost because you need time to actually build a system that allows you to do that, right? So when placing this, these are things that we need to consider. I like the fact that Ransford mentioned this, right? So now I'm going to prioritize each one. So I'm going to take the first one and I'm going to ask you guys, where does this belong, right? Maybe is it good to put text here to see if you guys know like A, B, I should have put text here to see that, but then where does purchasing what do you call it? Purchasing the USSD card at a station, where would you suggest we put it? Upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right, right, based on the graph. How should we prioritize this? Where should we put it? And this when you state it, mention the reason why, right? I know we are thinking, but then those who are finished thinking, can we make any suggestions that we are it's still brainstorming, so there are no wrong answers, like I keep saying. So Fifi, Gifty, Felix, Priscilla, Ransford, and Elias. I haven't heard anything from Elias. Yeah, Ransford.
Can you please touch again on the what's it called? The matrix thing. The upper left, the upper right, the lower left, the lower right.
Oh, so the upper left is like it has less efforts, but it has high impact. So that one is maybe the ideal solution. So when you put a solution, that means that it's not going to take a lot of efforts to build it, and then it's going to have a high impact. Upper
Good.
right means that it's going to have a high impact, but it's going to take a lot of effort to make it. So it's something that you
Oh,
can
okay.
maybe put on a roadmap, like a back burner, because it's going to take a lot of time and effort to do it.
Okay,
Lower
okay.
left is low impact, low effort. It's not going to make any significant impact. Still, it's not going to take a lot of energy to actually make it. And then the last one, lower right, low impact, hard effort, high effort. It's going to take
Okay.
an enormous
Okay.
amount of effort to make, but then it's not going to provide any impact. So yeah, that's
All
the
right.
logic behind
Great,
the
great, great, great,
matrix.
great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So card. Where do you think card belongs? So the card you need to purchase, need to buy cards. Now people will be using. People's cards might get missing and all that. And then we need to ensure that there's a terminal where they can basically what do you call it? Either there's a terminal they are tapping the card, or somebody they are showing the card to. How do you read the person's pass on the card? Is it a terminal or something? You have to provide terminals as well. So if these two things are provided, how is that going to work? So think of the logistics and the what do you call it? Okay, gives you saying that cards are high impact, high effort. Um, I basically provided the explanation for you, but I'd like you to add to what I just said. And these things are not set in stone. They can be moved around. So please, it might happen that somebody might say high impact, high effort, but then you might look at something and say, okay, fine. Why is this still not moving? You might look at something and say, fine, let's move it somewhere else. So um Charlie, today of all this, I'm just using sorry, my machine has become very restless. I don't know why. But okay. Ransford, can you give us a reason why you're taking this approach?
I think you explained it best. For the cards, I think
I
that's
want to
Tutu's
we
solution,
want
right?
to hear yours too. We want to hear
Okay,
yours
okay,
too.
okay. I'll just add something to what it is. So basically, the card is going to um be very, very fast for anyone that has it, right? I'm imagining myself in a situation where I go to the railway system, instead of a long queue over there, I just see um the scanner, I tap in, walk into the train, and then go and find my seat. I think that's how it is in most advanced countries, and it's working perfectly for them. There might be like a few caveats here and there, but offsetting the benefits that comes with that system, I think that's the best approach. But it comes with a lot of hardware involved, a lot of infrastructure has to be put in place for it to work properly. So I think it sits in that spot nicely. High effort, high impact.
Okay. Um, does anybody have a contrary opinion to what he said? Does anybody disagree with what he said? It'll be fair to make your case now if you disagree. If there are any software engineers here too, it would be nice to get your take as well. That's really important. Okay, I'll take it that there are no disagreements. So let's go on to tap and pay purchase. No, no, okay, let me just be chronological with this. Assigning a phone number to assigning a pass to a phone number, and then upon getting to the terminal, they basically use the unique code that's been generated from the phone and then they can just type it into a terminal, type their code in, and enter the train. That's the second idea. Where would you put this?
Low
If
effort, high impact.
you came up with that idea, where would you put it? Euclid has said, okay, Euclid, you mentioned first. So can you give us a reason why it should be? You said low effort, high impact. Can you give us a reason why?
Because you don't need hardware necessarily. You don't need to purchase. You just need a system that works. And so in terms of the system, you to create the systems and you to be done within the system. And then for the high impact, a lot of people can use it easily, more efficiently.
Okay, all right. Okay, so high impact, low effort, right? Fifi, what do you think? When I say what do you think, I'm not saying like say, okay, I think he's right, but then I would want your take as well because this was your idea. So let's see if you here. Okay. Does anybody disagree with Euclid or have a different take or maybe has something else to add to what Euclid has already said? Okay. So the third idea actually, USSD passive for purchasing tickets, right? A unique code is sent to you, you enter the code and you get a body pass, similar to what Fifi said, but this is using a USSD approach. So where should we put this? I think these two are actually one in the same, but
Yeah,
this is actually showing the means.
But Euclid's explanation, this one also sits like
Yeah,
very, very
exactly.
close to it.
Because this one, the USSD pathway shows the means to do it, right? This one doesn't show the means to do it. So we can just say they are one in the same. So I'll take this out. I'll just merge the two, right? So let's say that I'll keep this here because it can be USSD, it can be in an app, so it's fine. Okay. Okay, so now hybrid mobile money USSD, smartphone buy tickets online, QR code. Okay, so this is a QR code approach. Where do we put this QR code approach? This also shows, okay, where do we put this QR code approach?
Low effort, medium impact.
Okay, and what is your justification for that?
Medium impact because there's a constraint of having the device, so it's only suitable for smartphone users.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because you can't use what do you call it? QR code on a feature phone, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, my framer is, let's say framer. My my what do you call it? I don't know what I was doing on my laptop that's making it behave this way, but yeah. So you said low efforts, medium impact. Yeah. I haven't moved it all the way yet, but yeah. Harrison is saying high impact, low effort for QR code. Okay. Harrison, can you tell us why? Harrison? Sorry. Harrison? Yeah.
It's time check. I'm just considering.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I forgot about that. Okay. So we have this one. Let's do quickly do this one. Tap to pay mechanism. Where should we put this quickly? I'll put this on Priscilla.
Okay, so I think I would put it for high efforts and then low impacts. Coming to think of what Ransford is, persons with I think people with the basic phone features may not have like NFC supporting um their devices or on their devices. So for the high efforts, I assume the NFC readers would be like of high costs. So that's like high efforts. And then for the lower impact, just like Ransford stated, we may be including passengers without the NFC capable phones.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks. We'll leave it there. So, what the next step is supposed to be is for you to define the task. Before we do that, it's clear that we are picking the USSD/app pathway to assign passes to mobile phone numbers, because that's the one that we have that it has us at the optimum position. It's high in impact, it's low in effort. It doesn't require any additional system. It basically requires some development work, right? And it's a system that is currently being used for, let's say, authentication as well, right? Generating in their code that's specific to a user for login. And this can also be transposed into railway passes as well. So this looks like what we are taking. This looks like the approach we are taking. So I'll quickly we don't have to fill this in, but I'll quickly just walk us through what we're supposed to do. So now if we have this approach, what we'll do next is that we'll define the tasks. So make a list of the tasks the customer or the user needs to go through in order to use this process successfully, right? So something like the user picks up their phone, buys a pass using a mobile app or using USSD, right? And the pass is attached to basically list these tasks, right? Up here, right? So, and you basically state that because I think it's a hybrid of digital and physical. I'll just keep it digital, right? And then they would basically fill it in. And when they get to the pass, they can actually buy a terminal. There's one thing that wasn't mentioned here. If they are entering their pass onto the terminal, then funding is required. So the effort will have to be a bit high. This might probably be close to maybe the middle or right above the hybrid mobile list, because it's going to be using what do you call it? It's going to be easier to actually execute, right? So you basically list your tasks here, right? What are the list of activities or tasks that need to be performed by the user, right? What this gives you is that it gives you the requirements you need to actually build the solution, right? But in order to make it more visual, you can, sorry, I'm trying to scroll up. You can basically do a series of storyboards or wireframes. You can actually do both. In this case, you can do a storyboard or somebody. Just storyboard is like a quick sketch, like comics, right? You don't have to be an artist. You're not like designing the Van Gogh or anything. So something very, very easy. What are the list of sketches that you like? There's the list of sketches, the list of activities the user needs to do. Can you, Charlie? Let me stop sharing the screen and just go back to the slide. Can we visualize these list of activities for the user, right? Or for the stakeholder, so that you clearly see it as, okay, so this is how the system is going to behave. Sorry. So an example is this, right? Can you guys see my screen? So yeah, basically a storyboard is something like this, right? So can we do something like this and then top that with a wireframe, right, of how the interaction is going to go. So this is essentially what your solution is going to look like I mentioned on the slide. And then once you are done with that, you will start measuring what do you call it? You start defining metrics for success, right? So let me stop sharing. And with this one, can you guys give me specific metrics that you think might be might be important for measuring the success of this, then we'll basically wrap it up, right? What metrics can we define? Right, you guys can type it in the chat or whatnot, or maybe tell me what metrics can we define to measure success with a solution like this? Just like I think of any metrics we can define.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'll drop in the chat.
Okay, I'll help you guys with one. Just give me the most obvious one that you can think of. The most obvious one that comes to mind. That you measure to say, okay, this actually works.
We'll just pick. I was saying I'm going to copy yours. I'm saying I was going to copy yours. But the reduction of key on the queue is during peak hours. Less queues during peak hours.
Let's use you peak hours. This one, okay. There's one very obvious one, like key one. That is going to be really important to Euclid.
Money. It has to do with money.
Oh, nobody can think of this one. Or should I just say it? Or Euclid really tell us?
Okay, so it's between the adoption rate, the number of people that are going to use this, and then okay, I'm also thinking of the system uptime, availability of the system.
Okay, thanks. There's one to revenue increase.
Yes.
How much money are we going to get from yeah, Gifty just typed it, making profit. How much money are we making from this? Because one of our issues was that people were using cash. Maybe they might have been pilfering or maybe stealing or something. With Momo, it's going straight to a certain account. Nobody can touch the money. So how is it increase? How is this affecting revenue? Right? Has there been an increase?
So
yeah, you could mention adoption rates. We can also look at customer satisfaction. Maybe if we do a qualitative, maybe a survey, a quantitative study, a quick survey. Maybe you can get an NPS score to find out what the customer satisfaction has been so far, or the user satisfaction has been so far, right? On the user side, are they satisfied with the system? Is this something that works for them, right? There's another one we can look at from Euclid's side, or this is more high level, right? And it might not necessarily be something that you can find out, but then how is this affecting the economy as well? Because you mentioned that there's a revenue loss due to the high traffic. Is this mitigating that, right? Yeah. So of course the impact, the metrics are numerous, and these are the metrics that when you've not designed anything on Figma yet, you've not done any mock-up or anything, but then you can put this together in a document, present it to someone who is in management position, who gave you this problem, right? And you can do this entire exercise in, let's say, if you are going into detail. It took us like roughly an hour to do this thing. You can do this let's say, you can just even take 4 hours and just say you're going to do like go deeper and like probably have more loaded information, right? And you can present this in a document to stakeholders, and it basically gives them direction. It gives them an entire solution by considering everything that's important within the problem you're solving, right? And this is more valuable than creating just creating a nice UI and showing that this is the solution. This is exactly what a designer is supposed to be doing, right? And if you want to leverage AI and you are trying to use Claude Code to actually build a quick prototype, in your planning mode, you've essentially, by doing this, you've created the prompt for your planning mode, right? If you are telling the LLM who the users are, what problem you are trying to solve, why it's important. You are adding assumptions, you are adding constraints. You've added what the needs of the user are. You've added what the context is, right? You've even added your ideas. You've done your impact effort matrix. You've showed them why you are prioritizing this idea. You've defined the tasks. You even added wireframes to them. You've added a storyboard, which the LM is going to consider, right? And you've added metrics you are measuring, right? So you've basically completed the entire project, and then you have this, and you can probably give it to an LLM to actually, or even use Cloud Code to actually create a workable prototype you can use that backs all the information you've been given, that you've added to your prompt, and which you are still sharing with stakeholders, right? So this is basically a way of you from end to end designing an entire solution that works. And it's not just sitting on your phone, you are considering all the other activities that need to be considered. What activities are happening outside the phone or outside the device, whether it's a phone or a laptop? In this case, it's a phone. What activities are happening outside the device? What other considerations are you making? You're making considerations for the terminal that's being used, for the cost that's being used, or like the materials that are going to be used. So if the stakeholders are considering using a card system, you are basically showing them how the card system might work and some of the limitations of the card system, which is your job as a designer, right? Your job as a designer is to give stakeholders in the business direction, right? In your own small corner, you're basically leading from the bottom, right? So this is essentially what the framework is. If you guys like, I can share a template of this, and you guys can use it. I also have actually initially I thought this was going to be what do you call it?
Physical.
I thought it was going to be in person. Yes, I was really hoping it was going to be in person. So I actually made a worksheet in PDF that I was hoping to print and share before it was clarified I was going to be virtual. So I'll share the worksheet with you guys. If you can share it with the group, I'll just drop it. I'll share with you guys so that you can share it with the group. And then I don't know if you can share, I can share it in the chat. Is it possible to attach something in the chat? I don't think it is, because I tried it didn't work.
I think we have to share.
Right.
We can share through the group. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll share with you guys, and you can share with the group. So it's basically a worksheet that you can actually use on paper, because I actually do this on paper. I don't do this digitally. Because when it gets to the point you have to draw the wireframe, you can using a mouse, unless you're using a stylus pen or something. Yeah, using a mouse is going to be difficult. So usually this is done on paper, but then this basically is what's breaking the problem down from beginning to end looks like. So you are considering everything. And once you are done, it actually shows your thinking as a designer, right? So if you want to practice how to think better as a designer, there's something you can do. Pick any random problem and go through this approach. And what is going to happen is that with every project you keep working on, when you are even engaging with stakeholders who are not really clear on what exactly the solution is supposed to look like, but they've come to you for a project, right? They want you to do a project for them, or maybe design an app for them to sell their business, or maybe to collect payments or whatnot. They might not really be clear on what the solution is supposed to look like, what the solution is supposed to do. You taking this approach and breaking it down and showing it to them, now you are giving them a glance into, okay, what is the ideal solution? What are some of my constraints? Who are my users, right? What are some of the things I need to consider? What does the solution look like? If I have a list of ideas, maybe the stakeholder has a list of ideas. Euclid shared an idea when we're listing the ideas. How do we prioritize them? What's the logic behind prioritizing them? Why are we putting this on a high priority? Why are we going with an idea that we brought forth versus one that we rejected from the stakeholder, even though they have skin in the game? Or why did we pick the stakeholder's idea? Maybe the stakeholder came with an idea of using the USSD/app pathway. But then you say, okay, fine, that's right, a good idea. Let's go with that one. It might look like you didn't really do your job, or you basically went with what they said. But then if you provide a background as to why that idea actually works, right? How much impact it's going to make, how much effort it's going to take to actually build it, why this idea works, and you actually show that you've actually thought about the idea, you've provided your expertise in vetting the idea. It shows that it's not just your value isn't just in the pixels that you present or how nice they look, but it's in the thinking as well, right? So this is something that you can adopt in some of these other projects. I don't want to eat into too much time. We spent too much time already. So if there are any questions, anything you're curious, or maybe if there are any concerns, can you let me know? I'll be glad to answer them. I don't know if you have bled into the question and answer part of the whole workshop, but then yeah, Alex has a hand up.
All right, Edem, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this practical session. I have two questions actually. So the first one is, how do we determine what type of prioritization methods to use when you are working on a project? Is it based on the designer's discretion, or is actually based on what the organization actually wants to go with, right? And then the second one is that looking at this whole process, personally, in my opinion, I do not think it's advisable for just the UX designer to be working on this. I think it's also important to have other team members, maybe from front end, back end, especially when it comes to the prioritization and where to put what and which of the features are feasible and all of that. You need input from everybody. So when it comes to this, it's not just the UX designer working on this, it's actually a collaborative effort that comes into play. So those are the two questions that I have for now.
Yeah, I'll give you applause for that question. This is an awesome thing, and I really appreciate the fact that you brought this. The first question regarding the prioritization mechanism. So it's not just the designer who's doing this prioritization. Ideally, if I'm a designer and I work with, let's say Euclid is a designer, Euclid is working with his e-process team and is working on this. It is important that Euclid brings in the software engineer who's going to be working on this. The stakeholder who brought the problem, the PM who is going to be working on this, the QA person, like even the sales personnel, every individual who has a stake in this, well, stakeholders need to be present when doing this. The reason is that you might, like I said, there's certain information that you might not be privy to, that you might not know of. There are certain constraints that you might not necessarily be aware of because of in your capacity as a designer or as a software engineer, that the salesperson. There might be certain technological constraints that you might not be aware of as a salesperson that the software engineer has to contend with, right? So ideally, this isn't done by just the designer, right? But in cases where that's the ideal situation, in most cases, you might not have the luxury of having other people present. It's ideal that you do that. But in case you don't do that, now you've basically shown your thinking process and you've documented. Now it's visual. So this can be a stepping off point where now you can bring in a stakeholder. It's okay. This is how I've thought about this problem. Walk them through it. What do you think? Are there any thoughts? What can you add to this? Right? It's also one thing. So that even if these stakeholders aren't necessarily present, now you've given them a stepping off point. Even if the software engineer isn't present, and if for some reason you just happen to be it just happens to be a designer only conversation. Now, this is what you use to engage them. You don't just tell them, you are showing them, right? What we often do is that we show them the UI, we show them the mockups. It's hard to show them our thinking process. It's very hard to do that. This allows you to do that, right? And it also helps it helps them to actually question things. Maybe they might push back on certain things. They might add to these things, but they are basically putting your brain on the table for them to actually use, right? And I think if that happens more often, cases where we have designers designing things that are not feasible, but it's a solution that works. This is going to give the software engineer the film to say, Charlie, yeah, maybe this approach I was going to use was actually going to work, but looking at the work that's been done, you let me try and see if I can do this, right? Versus you just telling them and they're like, Charlie, this thing you designed here, it doesn't make any sense, Charlie. I'm not going to go. Just let's use something simple. Now you are showing them that this is the thought that has gone into this, and you are giving them the motivation to actually try and see if they can actually build it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, ideally this shouldn't be done in isolation. It's highly suggested that you have the stakeholder in the room. The person who actually give you the work, have them in the room. And if let's say you've been given a project by someone to design something, there's one exercise you can actually do with them. So you are basically walking them through what their needs are. And they will have questions that they might have to ask themselves. There might be things that they might have to rethink, but then it's not going to be in isolation because you basically guided them. And even if it comes to the point where you don't even have mockups and the person has to maybe compensate you for your efforts, they might not need a deliverable because you've basically, this is consulting work basically, right? That you are doing with somebody who is, and you're showing, okay, this is my skill as a consultant. This is how I help you think. So aside you also thinking or like showing how you think, this is also how you help stakeholders think of their ideas, think of their solutions or their requirements. Or in the case of somebody coming to you with a project, this is how you help them think as well, right?
Yeah,
I hope
exactly.
I've answered your question.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. And just to add to this, right, it's just an addition. I worked on a project, right? And then after we were able to prioritize some features, what we did was we did concept testing. So we spoke to an actual user and then we showed him all the features that we had in mind that we wanted to work on. And then we let them kind of score all of the features. So we speak to about 5 users and then they give a score to each of the features. That also helps you to see which of these features are valuable to them and not you assuming that they would actually want these features. So it's another step you can take just to validate all of these things that you are doing. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments or anything you might be concerned about? Maybe there's something else you feel like, this is all well and good, but I have certain concerns, like, please bring them up.
Trust Alex, he will definitely bring in user research. So, so then basically, we're saying that once we do this, this is the first stage where we're involving a stakeholder, and after this, we can now move to do our user research after agreeing the direction.
Well, yes, because this is accounting for ambiguity. You don't know anything. Nobody has done any research, has given you anything, right? So this can also be a stepping off point to actually determine what kind of questions am I going to ask the users, right? You have certain assumptions about what do you call it, the users, what their needs are. So this is the point where you can use this to actually clarify some of these questions when you're doing your user research as well, right? Because it's difficult to walk into a space and not know what questions to ask. A lot of people try to do user research when working on problems usually face this thing. What questions do I ask them, right? And sometimes we end up running into ChatGPT to help us generate questions, or we just wing it, right? Which is fine because it's a stepping off point, but then this helps to know what are the right questions I'm asking, right? Because what that's really important as a designer, if you're doing your research, asking the right questions is the most paramount thing, but it's also very difficult to do. So this also helps in that direction. Yeah, Alex.
Yeah, Edem, a quick one. You mentioned you read a book. I think it was around the assumption hacks or so. If you can just mention the name of the book so that
so the book actually goes into detail regarding this approach. It's a solving product design questions. I'll share. There's a book I actually bought that I was going to. I haven't shared it before, and I was going to, if it was, so I was hoping that it was going to be what do you call it, an in person, and then you guys should do your workbook. I'll review them, and then the one I'm most impressed with, I'll just give a free copy of the book. But
You can
I'll
still give
keep,
the free copy.
I'll keep the hard copy. I was going to give the person a hard copy. I'll keep the hard copy, and then I'll share the soft copy with you guys. So yeah.
Okay. So that's a giveaway for everyone that attended the program.
So the book
workshop
goes
today.
exactly. So the book goes into detail. What I've done is like sort of surface level. The book is actually looking at people who are doing whiteboard, who want to do whiteboard challenges, and the kind of what do you call it, challenges they go through while doing that. And this basically is a step-by-step process. The book goes into more detail. It gives you problems that you need to solve. I think some of the storyboards are actually I picked from the book. The storyboards that I drew myself. So yeah, I'll share the book with you guys, and then you guys can
Yeah.
actually. It's actually an awesome read. It has a list of questions that you can ask, and I think when I got the book, what the author Artyom Dashinsky, he's Israeli, weird enough. What he did was that he actually opened was he was trying to do something like daily UI. So you subscribe it every day, every week you get a problem that you need to solve. So every week I did that for a while, but I fell off. So you basically solve, and these are random design problems that you just give. Some of them difficult, some of them yeah quite easy. So it's just a way of practicing, right? Practicing some of these things, and you don't have to be a designer to do this. You can be a software engineer, right? And this helps you to actually massage how you think about problems, right? And not only focus on just the building part, because once you are in product, we tend to forget that you're working holistically. It's not just what you are building. Who are you building it for? Why is it important? Why is it valuable? So that's when you sit in a room of people who are like business focused. You sit in a stakeholder room. You'll not be talking about APIs and pixels and color palettes and whatnot. You can actually have intelligent conversations about the product with them. And that's what a lot of them expect from you. But then what they often get, and I've experienced this myself, is that like because they see that maybe they think that you're a designer, so shapes and colors, you're a software engineer. Oh, Charlie, this guy the only thinks in code, right? But if you're able to show them your thinking process, how you think about the business and stuff, I think it's really important. That makes you more valuable. And like Euclid can attest to this because he's been in labs. I've seen him in a lot of these meetings, and I think Gifty and Fifi might also attest to this as well, where how you talk about some of these things actually elevates how you are seen. It also helps to determine who um, the stakeholders might come to when they have certain ideas that they need to like polish.
There's more from Edem. I know. For me, I just want to hear you speak, and speak, because some of the things you're saying are affirming, confirming. Some of them are you're saying, "Oh, you are in the right path. Continue." And I'm sure for other as well. So I think Priscilla, I am begging that we kindly ask Edem to stop here. He will be in the next physical meetup. He will bring the book. So whoever comes to the next physical meetup will have the giveaway, the free giveaway book from there. He will determine the criteria of giving the book in that meetup. So thank you so much, Edem. It has been quite resourceful, quite enlightening, quite inspiring, and insightful as well. And yeah, always a pleasure to have you in these discussions of UX. I'm very happy about what is happening in the Ghana UX space, because we are building this understanding is critical in building the professional and continuous advocacy for why the profession is important in this part of the world. So yeah, thank you for adding the voice to it. Nobody has paid you for this, and you will reap the benefits very soon. Thank you so much. Priscilla, over to you.
Thank you
Please,
so
let's
much,
close.
Edem. Okay, but before we close, please the poll in the chat. Can we all submit our votes? And we need it to determine when next is a UX meetup. So please, if you haven't voted, please take a minute to do so. And then while you do so, I've shared in the chat as well with our social media platforms is you can follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and then also join our WhatsApp community. And then if you are in the community, the WhatsApp community, you would know that we sent out a survey. And so we are taking a study on the various ride-hailing apps, especially here in Ghana. If you were in for our last meetup, you know that we spoke a lot about the ride-hailing apps here in Ghana. So I'd urge you all to take part in the study, and then we'll share the results with you. Okay, so that would be all.
There's more polls, more polls. Only 7 people have responded. How do I
Please
get?
respond to the poll. Okay.
Okay, I just brought it in the chat. You can click on it and it take you up to the poll. August is coming, and we need to agree to the best dates that suits us and best timing. Can we do this on Wednesday morning? Can we do this on Friday morning? Or can we do this on Friday evening? Or we stick to Saturday at 10 a.m. as we have been doing? Cool. Next meetup promises to be great. You see, it keeps getting better and better. I'm sure there's value you're getting out of this, and so we continue with that. Priscilla, 8 responses. I was talking because I was waiting for the responses. Thank you, Edem. Thank you so much once again. This was I've already picked some things. I've already sent some instruction. Say, guys, we have to use this part. We have to use, in our next project. So rest assured that you delivered value. Rest assured you delivered value. Okay. As Priscilla was saying,
It was actually nice connecting with you.
awesome. 8 responses.
And please don't
Hi,
forget to
Priscilla,
follow
am I
us
the
on
only
our
one that
social.
can't see the poll?
At the
Can't
top.
I think it's all the way up.
But I've just commented on it so you can click on that. Let me try again. Click on this.
Sure.
Have you seen it? Hello, Fifi. Have you seen it?
No, I can see the comments, but it seems the poll itself is not showing for me. I don't know why.
Right at the top. Oh. Is that a way of resending the poll? I think for those perhaps maybe who joined
I've
late.
pinned it, so you should see it. You should be able to go to-
But you should push it so that it comes in our face. Okay. Are you doing something or we should close? Close that.
Yeah, we can close. That'd be it. Thank you all for joining. And enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Okay, thank you all. Have a nice weekend and see you in the next meetup. Our video will be available on YouTube for recap, and look forward to those who are on the platform. How do we share this? Edem, I want the people who only attended to get the soft copy of the
Oh, I'll
book.
share the soft copy with you.
No, so I'm trying to see how best to share it to only, so it becomes for those who only attended. We'll try and find the names and see how to share it individually to everyone that attended. If you're on the WhatsApp platform, we'll share it through WhatsApp to you directly so that it becomes a benefit of you attending. Okay. Bye bye. Nice weekend.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.